Film starts with a picturesque mountain scene where we meet Becky and her husband Dan. They are newlyweds, enjoying their adventurous life together. Both are passionate about mountain climbing, often seeking out challenging terrains. Joining them is Becky's friend, who shares their love for thrill-seeking. The trio frequently ventures into dangerous areas, always in search of the next big challenge. While climbing one day, Dan accidentally disturbs a bird's nest, causing him to lose his balance. Dangling precariously from a rope, he struggles to regain his footing. Despite Becky and her friends' desperate attempts to save him, Dan tragically falls and loses his life. A year later, we see Becky still deeply mourning Dan's loss. She keeps his ashes close and has turned to alcohol, her life unraveling in the wake of the tragedy. Becky's father, troubled by her downward spiral, reaches out to her old friend Hunter, who used to climb mountains with Becky and Dan. Hunter suggests that another climbing adventure might help Becky heal. Hunter proposes they climb a historic 2,000-foot tower in the desert and scatter Dan's ashes there, believing it will bring Becky some peace. After much hesitation, Becky agrees, hoping to find some solace and reconnect with her passion for climbing. As they set off on their journey, they enjoy each other's company, recording videos and sharing laughs. However, their carelessness nearly leads to disaster when a speeding truck almost hits their car. They manage to avoid the accident and continue on, feeling relieved and determined to make the climb. They finally reach their destination. On the way, Hunter spots a dead goat being eaten by birds. She shoos the birds away and snaps a picture of the goat, later posting it on Instagram. As they arrive at the tower, Hunter starts recording a video. Both women feel a wave of fear looking at the tower's towering height. Becky, visibly scared, is reassured by Hunter, who tells her that there's nothing to fear and that they can do it. Hunter secures both herself and Becky before they begin their climb. Becky feels every rusted step and hears every creak of the old tower. Despite her fear, she keeps climbing, holding on to a sense of hope. Hunter informs her that they've reached the halfway point, 1,000 feet up, equal to the height of the Eiffel Tower. The wind is fierce at this altitude, and Hunter reassures Becky that they're almost there. Becky, looking down, feels a rush of vertigo. Hunter playfully shakes the stairs, scaring Becky even more. Eventually, they reach the top of the tower. Unbeknownst to them, a bolt in one of the stairs has come loose. They are too busy celebrating to notice. Hunter pulls out her drone camera to capture the moment. Becky, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration, watches as Hunter hangs from the tower, asking Becky to take her picture. Overcoming her fear, Becky agrees and also hangs from the tower for a photo. Hunter hugs her, and Becky releases her husband's ashes into the wind. She feels a sense of relief, and they both take a moment to remember Dan. With their mission complete, they decide to descend. Suddenly, one of the rusted steps breaks. Becky hangs precariously, but Hunter manages to pull her up. However, Becky's bag gets caught on the tower's antenna. Their drone camera and food supplies are in Becky's bag, which is now out of reach. Panic sets in as they realize they have no cell signal at the top of the tower. Desperately searching, they find a flare gun and a pair of binoculars. Hunter suggests saving the flare gun for later, fearing it might be wasted if used now. Becky, noticing an injury on her leg, quickly bandages it while they try to figure out their next move. They sit down and complete their vlogs, trying to pass the time. After a few hours, Hunter uses the binoculars and spots a car in the distance, but they can't call for help. Checking her phone, Hunter sees that her recent Instagram post received many likes and comments, indicating there was a signal at the base of the tower. She writes a message for help and ties her phone to a rope, lowering it in hopes of catching a signal. Unfortunately, the phone still doesn't connect. Determined, Hunter decides to drop her phone to the ground, protecting it by placing it in her sock and shoe to prevent damage. She throws it down, hoping it will get a signal and send the message. Through the binoculars, she spots a man with a dog nearby. Becky hastily throws her shoe down to get his attention, but he doesn't notice and walks away. Becky wants to fire the flare gun, but Hunter advises waiting until sunset, believing someone will rescue them then. As night falls, Becky watches old videos on her phone to pass the time. She notices something strange. Hunter looking at her and Dan in an odd way. Trying to stay calm, Hunter finally tells Becky to fire the flare gun. They also use their phone's flashlight, rotating it to signal for help. Two men in the distance see the light, but they're too far away to assist. Instead, the men steal their car, leaving Becky and Hunter stranded. As night falls, Becky and Hunter try to sleep. Suddenly, Hunter almost falls off the tower, but Becky saves her just in time. In the process, Becky notices a tattoo on Hunter's leg with the numbers 143. This jogs a memory for Becky. Her husband Dan used to say, 143, as shorthand for I love you. Realizing the implication, Becky confronts Hunter, who admits that she and Dan had been involved. Becky feels a whirlwind of emotions, and Hunter apologizes sincerely. Amidst this tense moment, Becky spots the bag with the drone and water bottle. Hunter volunteers to retrieve it. She carefully hooks ropes on each side of the tower and begins her daring descent. Despite her initial struggle, Hunter, ever the risk-taker, jumps to reach the bag hanging on the antenna. She secures the bag, retrieves her selfie stick, and uses it to attach a rope to the bag. Hunter makes a bold leap and grabs the rope but slips and falls. Becky, horrified, looks down to see Hunter clinging to the tower, injured but alive. Summoning all her strength, Becky manages to pull Hunter back up. Exhausted and injured, they take a moment to drink some water. Deciding to send a message for help, they write a note and attach it to the drone. As the drone flies away, its battery dies, forcing them to bring it back. Night falls again, and Becky drifts into a troubled sleep. In her dream, she sees Hunter's body being eaten by birds. She wakes up in a panic but realizes it was just a nightmare. Being a light on the tower, Becky gets an idea to charge the drone's battery using the solar-powered light. In the morning, she climbs up and connects the drone to the light to recharge. Once the drone is charged, Becky descends carefully. They rewrite the note, attach it to the drone, and send it off toward their house, hoping it will reach someone who can help them. Before the drone can reach the house, it crashes into a car and breaks. The day passes with Becky clinging to the hope that someone will eventually rescue them. Becky's condition deteriorates and she feels she can't last much longer. Desperate, she asks Hunter to give her the shoe so she can throw her phone with another note. But Hunter stops her, and in that moment, Becky realizes the truth. Hunter isn't really there. She died when she fell retrieving the bag, and Becky had been imagining her presence to cope with the loneliness. Looking down, Becky sees birds feasting on Hunter's body and breaks down in tears. She records a final message for her dad, losing hope that she'll survive. Morning comes, and another day drags on. A bird, drawn by the blood on Becky's leg, poaches her. In a desperate act of survival, Becky kills and eats the bird raw, gaining some much-needed energy. Meanwhile, Becky's father is frantic with worry and begins searching for her. Summoning her remaining strength, Becky climbs down to where Hunter's body lies on the antenna. She places her phone in Hunter's shoe and apologizes to her friend before carefully dropping the shoe, ensuring the phone won't break. Hours later, Becky's father arrives near the tower and sees the police handling Hunter's body. Believing his daughter to be dead, he is devastated. But then he hears a faint call. Dad turns to see Becky, alive and calling out to him. Overwhelmed with relief, he embraces her. Becky's determination and courage have kept her alive, and the film ends with their emotional reunion. Thanks for watching.